The Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show starts now on the Lorain County Sports Network, your home for high school sports. Tune in for the Coach's Corner presented by Buckeye Community Bank, where we speak to the coaches and get their thoughts on the season, this game, and their teams moving forward. Don't forget, immediately following the last play of the game, join us for the post-game scoreboard show presented by I-90 Nissan, featuring live interviews with players and coaches from around Lorain County. You can watch the post-game show live on Facebook at WOBL WDLW Sports. Tonight's games are brought to you by Lang Optical, Stewart's TV and Appliance, Buckeye Community Bank, Mental Health and Addiction Recovery Services of Lorain County, Justin Miller, Esquire, Jamie's Carpet Shop, Lorain County Visitors Bureau, Lorain County Clerk of Courts Tom Orlando, Derek Hammonds of State Farm Insurance, Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson, Vans Auto Repair and Tire Pros, Lorain County Community College, Janasco Insurance, Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services, Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran, E.H. Roberts Heating and Cooling, Achieve Credit Union, Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance, Ernie's Auto Body, Brian Victor of Howard Hanna, I-90 Nissan, Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, Al Januzzi CPA, Zabo Apparel Company, Valley Chevrolet, Jones Bones Barbecue and Grub, Network Land Title Agency, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Lorain County, Rich Ramsey for Judge, Brian Baker for Lorain County Commissioner, Rich Resendez for Sheriff, Elyria Jewelers and Repair, Lorain County Commissioner David Moore, Jack Hall for Sheriff, Kelly Dieter for State Representative, and Giovanna Scarletta Bremke. After the break, we will talk to both of the coaches in tonight's matchup. Like, follow, and subscribe to Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. It's time for Lorain County's Friday Night Lights with WOBL and WDLW Sports. Welcome into the Coach's Corner presented by Buckeye Community Bank. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth. Today's matchup features the Lutheran East Falcons taking on the Oberlin Phoenix. Joining me now in the Coach's Corner is the head coach of the Falcons, Coach Deshaun Washington, joining us. Coach, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you before kickoff?
I'm doing well. Just, trying to get the guys ready and prepared to go out here and, play a good 48 minutes of football.
So how's practice went so far this week, Coach, in preparation for the Phoenix?
Well, we had some bumps, but, we always try to make it and the way better than it started in the beginning. And so we were able to do that. We started off a little rough, but the guys got their feet back underneath them. And, we were able to pull out a couple of good days of practice.
You guys are 2-0 right now, and you only won 2 games last year, Coach. That's got to be feeling pretty good heading into week 3.
Yeah, it does. It does. Last year we were a really, really young team, and that all flipped this year. So, we had several freshmen starting. We had a couple of sophomores starting, plenty of sophomores starting, to be honest. And we only had I think we had 5 kids on senior night. So this year, the numbers, the experience has totally flipped. We actually don't have any sophomore or freshmen starting on our team, I don't believe. We do have one, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. Our quarterback is a sophomore starter, but that was because of an emergency duty that he had to pull because our starter went down. So, we're not shocked, and it's not out of confidence, but, when you grow and get older, things kind of change. We lost a lot of games last year by 1 or 2 points, and now we're starting to get those to fall on our side because we got more experience. So,
how does it feel not having a conference, Coach? You guys play in the freelance where you kind of just play whoever will play you guys, a lot of traveling. How does that go into preparation?
This is my first school I've done that with. At prior schools, we were in conference. I've been in the LEL. there's some bonuses and there's some negatives. Like when I was in the LEL, I was at a Division V high school, and the LEL was pretty much a Division I, II, and III conference. So we were always outmatched once conference time came, and when it comes to school size and number and depth. So now, my AD does a great job of putting the schedule together. I don't have to worry about it as much. And so I really don't have – it doesn't bother me. That may be a question for A.D. Jones. He has to put the schedule together. He just asked me if this is a team that I think we can be competitive against or not. And, as long as we can be competitive, we'll play.
You guys are 2-0. Week 1, you beat John Hay, and last week you took care of business against Cleveland Heights. Both close games, as you mentioned. The experience really showing for your guys to close out these close games.
Yeah, like I said, it's the experience. Correct. I would have loved to have had that win against Cleveland Heights, but Garfield Heights, right? We played them last week. And that one showed our experience, but it also showed that we're still young because we had a 26 lead for 3 quarters. We were up for 3 quarters, 20-6, and we made a couple mistakes in the end, and it kind of caused us to have to play an additional 3.5 minutes. So, we did slip back into our old ways. John Hay was one of those games that be a cornerstone to whatever happens here this year at Lutheran East, because we lost a very, very, very good quarterback, and he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. But we had a young kid playing his first high school football come out, and he's just been rolling. So, and our guys have rallied behind our injured quarterback, and they've been there to make sure they made the plays they needed to make for our young quarterback that's taking over for them.
So let's start breaking down this Lutheran East Falcons roster, Coach. Who's the young guy that stepped up at quarterback with the Week 1 injury?
All right, so our quarterback to start the season was Robert King. He was a transfer from Euclid, Ohio, Euclid High School. Suffered a little small setback, and he's in therapy, and he's going to be working his way back to us. The quarterback that's starting now is our quarterback, Jariah Morgan, number 7. Very dynamic kid, really young, still has a lot to learn. But, when I talk about calmness, I'm more impressed by his calmness, his mentality, than anything he does on the field, man. This kid is never shaken. And, if you can do that, that's more than half the battle. Making plays will be easy for you then.
Who's going to be running the ball on Friday night?
So we have a platoon of running backs. They can be anywhere from running back E.J. Dowdell, who's a more shifty, fast, but strong running back, to Tymaine Lindsay, one of our bigger backs, to just like our balanced back end, Isaiah Hampton, who will be our senior back, who kind of stabilizes the room, along with the other backs that we have. But those 3 will be the ones that will be taking most of the touches tomorrow night. And we may have sophomore Raymar Wicks run the ball as well.
Who are the receivers on the outside that the quarterback's going to be looking to get the ball to?
So we have, I could say we have a pretty big stable of receivers. We have a lot of tall receivers. Our most dynamic I would probably say, has to be junior Matt Valentine. He led the team in touchdowns last year, and already back on the roll is doing some of those great things this year. He's a very shifty, dynamic receiver that's also capable of running the ball out of the slot position on jets and options. So we have Matt Valentine. Then we have our 2 outside receivers, both over 6 foot, and Devontae Miller and Jarrell Melton. And they each caught a touchdown last week against Garfield Heights, which Jariah Morgan, our quarterback, was responsible for, had a part in all 3 touchdowns scored last week.
Deshaun, Sorry, Coach. Deshaun Washington is joining us in the Coach's Corner as we are getting ready for kickoff between Lutheran East and Oberlin. Coach, what would you describe your offense's identity is this year?
Well, we're close to balance, but we still want to make sure everybody knows that we want to pound the ball and, just eat up some clock, but we have the ability to go over the top and make plays.
On the defensive side of the ball, Coach, who are some of the guys up front in the trenches that are going to be slowing down that Phoenix offense?
That's one of quite honestly, both sides of the ball included. Our D-line is probably the toughest and most talented part of our team. We have guys like Jerome Davis-Gale. We call him Ocho. We have Shamar Kemp. We have Raylan Wicks, Kenyon Johnson, Christian Grice, and Dylan Smith. Just guys keep coming in, that's play up on that front with our linebackers. Richmond, Denzel Richmond, Deshaun Washington Jr., Jamarion Chambers. And one of our surprise guys. Well, not surprised, but our quarterback from last year has moved to outside linebacker, Raymond Austin. And when you see the guy play, you wouldn't have known he was a quarterback just last year. He's physical, tough, and aggressive. So our defensive front seven is pretty talented.
How do you feel the defense is speed overall? How do you figure they do out there?
Well, we got some great speed. Our D-line is, our D-line is big and it's talented. It's very big. Our DNs are coming in like at 6'4", 6'3" apiece, about 220, 230. And these guys can run and jump and lift with the best of them. Our D tackles are like stout, strong guys. And then our corners and our DBs, we're talking about. I personally won't be surprised if all our guys buy in the track this offseason that we'll have a state qualifying 4x100 for our division.
Wow, that's pretty.
We got pretty good speed.
So what did you see on the Oberlin Phoenix film, Coach? You guys are going to be taking on them here shortly. What are some things on tape that you've seen?
I see that. Well, I've always told people, and I know they went through a lot of coaching changes over the past couple of years, but for whatever reason, either they're lucky coaches because they always get to come in and have coachable kids, or I don't know, but I always see a disciplined team. They don't make many mistakes penalty-wise, and they don't look disorganized. So that's always a great start. That's a great sign for their coaches. That's not what you want to see if you're me. They got some big guys up front on the O-line. They look really big on tape. Their quarterback, he can launch the ball a pretty far distance. They got some pretty decent speed receivers, if not above average speed receivers. I think they come out to play. We scrimmaged Brooklyn this summer, and Brooklyn isn't no pushovers, and they played for as long as they could with Brooklyn. And so, they started the game off with the safety, number 8. He's really aggressive, and you can see that he loves football, watching the tape, man. That kid is all over the place. So I've seen some good things I want to say this is the first year this coach is here, correct?
Yes.
So I see a lot of good things for culture-wise and building a program-wise on tape for that team.
3 coaches in three years, Coach.
Right. That's what I know. So, it's hard. I've been played against all 3 of them. I think I played against all 4 of them, though. I think we played 4 years, but I think there was a different coach each year.
I think there was one before that as well.
Yeah. So, I'm just happy to see the kids out because I know there was I thought that we would cancel this game, that we continue to play every year. And then last second, my AD said they are going to have a team, and we are going to play. And I was like, wonderful. It's always a great time going down to Oberlin and going to the college and playing. And it's never without incident, so I can enjoy that type of stuff.
What are some keys to victory tonight for the Falcons?
Well, I can tell you, man, we got to be prepared to defend the pass. Because in that tape, I want to say they ran the ball maybe 12 times in that game. I would love to have a talk because they look like their offense looks a lot like ours did last year. So I don't know if there's any coincidence or deliberate. But they look really disciplined. They do a lot of good stuff. But we just got to be able to try to stop the pass if they're looking for big plays. They got a decent play action series there. So we just want to just play discipline, stay in our position, every man do their job on defense. And then on offense, we stay consistent as well, stop hurting ourselves, and, can put together some nice drives and put some points on the board early.
Do the kids get an extra advantage for playing on a college field? Does that hype them up a little bit more with the facilities at Oberlin College?
Yeah, I think it does, man. I could say the last couple of years, that's where our best games have been played at Oberlin College. When we play at Oberlin, we play a lot better than we play them here. So I know the last 2 years, the first year I played there, then the last 2 years we played here. So hopefully we'll play there next year as well. But we play better when we play at Oberlin, and I think a lot of what you said is true. Like, they think that, and it quite possibly could be the case, they think that there may be some of the college coaches on campus watching the game or whatnot. So, and if they are, I think they'll see some kids, some pretty good, talented kids here at Lutheran East who fit the academic background of Oberlin College.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coach, thanks so much for giving us some time before we get things kicked off in Week 3. We appreciate it. Good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you. You have a great day.
That's the head coach of the Lutheran East Falcons, Deshaun Washington, giving us some time in the Coach's Corner. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, it's time to kick off Week 3 on YouTube. It's Lorain County's Sports Network Game of the Week. Welcome back into the Coach's Corner, presented by Buckeye Community Bank. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth. Our Lorain County Sports Network Game of the Week features Lutheran East at Oberlin. Right now, we're going to head into the Coach's Corner and talk to the first-year head coach of the Phoenix, Kenny Washington Jr. Joining us now here in the Coach's Corner before kickoff. Kenny, how you feeling about Week 3?
I'm excited for Week 3. We had a good long week of practice. Our guys are excited. They're ready, and we're excited for tonight.
Let's start at the beginning. This is your first year being a head coach. How has that went so far? How's the transition been now that you got your own program?
Really just taking it in stride, enjoying every moment of it right now. Still just developing, putting our stamp on the program, finding our feeding in the city, in the community. So it's just an ongoing process this first year. But they were really receptive. The guys are really receptive. Getting great feedback from the community, the parents, administration, the staff. So, as a unit, we're going to do this thing together. So it's looking good right now.
Who are some of the coaches around the area that maybe you lean on for some advice being at your first year?
I'm thankful to be around a lot of great coaches. Formerly, my former team, Lorain, definitely some great coaches over there. Coach Jeremy Wilt, Coach Dominique Goodwin. They hit me up every week, just wishing me good luck. Coach McFarland, I think he's out there in Elyria right now helping out. He calls me every day. We get on the chat almost every week. So those guys I really lean on for advice, and they're just there when I even don't need them. So I always appreciate them.
Right now, you guys are 0-2 heading into tonight's matchup. Week 1 was a tough one, but Week 2 you saw some improvement. What were some bright spots that you've seen that you guys could build on tonight?
Well, we finally think we found our identity as an offense. Just balancing out what our guys can do, and putting stuff on their plate and seeing how much they consume. But I think we found our footing. We had a couple scores, a couple touchdowns. We ran one. Played fairly good on defense. Had a turnover. Had a safety. So it's just about keeping it a snowball effect, keeping the good, learning from the bad, and just keep rolling.
Let's take a look at the offense for tonight. You're led by the quarterback position, Julian Anderson. Tell us about him and what type of game he brings.
Senior leader, strong, fast, smart. The biggest thing about Anderson, man, is just going with the flow. I tell him all the time, don't put too much on your shoulders. This is an 11-man sport. Lean on your teammates, lean on your coaches. If he can take that advice, and he usually does, then he'll be good for this senior year.
Who are some guys he's going to be throwing the ball to tonight?
Jeshawn Wyndham. Number 2, senior, made some plays for us last game, over 100 yards, about 4 catches. We'll lean on him tonight, as well as Carmelo Williams, junior, another 6-footer we have out there outside. Definitely looking for some explosive plays out of them.
Who's going to be running the ball for you?
We have Mason Rosenthal, as long with Joe Holt. A mix of those two backs. They complement each other. Mason's kind of a bulldozer for us. Joe using his speed a little bit on the outside, and in between the tackles as well. Definitely work with those two guys.
Offensive line is young this year, but that left side is big, Coach. Talk about the offensive line.
Like you said, they're young, they're hungry, they're growing, they're learning. We have them in the weight room still consistently working on their weight, working on their program. They know what they are and what they can be. It's just all about learning and developing with those guys.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, who are some guys up front that are going to be trying to stop that Lutheran East run game?
Drew Walter, he's been a showtime for us this year. He's made a lot of plays. We moved him down to that outside linebacker position, and I think it fits him well. He'll definitely protect our edge for us and ramp our defense up. And then we have Jeshawn Wyndham, again, too. He's a corner out there for us, protecting. And, we lean on those two guys for leadership and to turn our defense up.
A couple guys that stuck out to me on the defense. Nicholas Freeze, he's a sophomore playing defensive line, and Corey Freeman, junior defensive back. Talk about them.
Yeah, Nicholas Freeze, he's like you said, he's a big 6'4" guy for us. He's exciting. He's learning as the days goes. And just getting him in shape really is our big plan for him right now, because when he goes, he goes. So it's all in mind for him, and he's a young guy, so he has time to learn. But just on the fly for him, hopefully, we hope. Corey Freeman, he was actually a starting point guard for the Oberlin basketball team, so he came out with us this year with a little help of recruiting, from us in the hallways. So we got him out here, and still just a young guy, fresh for football. So just learning the game is what we're trying to teach him, and have fun while playing the game. If you're not having fun and you're not out here with your guys, then there's no really point to what we're doing. So getting them a part of the program, getting them involved in the players and the staff really helps them commit.
You being a teacher at the high school, have you been able to recruit the hallways? Are you getting kids to buy in and see that there's a difference here now at Oberlin?
Yes, sir. I'm always hearing positive things, especially after our Friday game at home. It got the community a chance to see what we're about this year, and we have so much positive feedback, even from players. My first year in the district last year, just hearing the feedback the players gave from the team was horrible on all the students, and it was just bad feedback. But this year you can see it's a change in the school. And everybody's more positive. Win or loss, we'll track it, yes, but we're worried about winning the next play and winning the next down. So that's really big for us, and the school's supporting us, the community's supporting us, so we love it.
Heading into tonight's matchup against Lutheran East, they're undefeated, 2-0. What have you seen on film from them?
There's some dynamic guys on Lutheran East team. They have a solid team. They're definitely big, about 50, 60 guys deep. Solid team.
What type of challenges does the numbers game provide for you guys? That really seems to be the downfall to Oberlin football. You guys have players. It's just getting them rest and getting some numbers.
Definitely. So, we know that coming in, numbers was the issue. So we work on recovery throughout the week. A big recovery day on Saturday after the game. We have guys in ice baths. There'll be an ice bath today. So, as much as recovery as possible for these guys, and also, changing that mindset. There's hurt, and there's injured. So, to get Oberlin kids to understand, what that is, and just teaching them, putting it in their heads, and doing our recovery days, it makes it, a little bit better.
What do you have to do tonight to be successful?
We have to execute. We have to be the sharpest team on the field. We have to win the turnover battle. And to be honest, we just have to, bring that first punch. I think last week and in week 1 as well, we were catching punches. And I told the guys, I don't think we laid out. I don't think we bowed out, but I think we did catch punches. And, in week 3, we need to be the ones to deliver the punch first.
Weather might be an issue here tonight. Is that going to change how the game's called?
No, sir. We're just going to go with our offense, go with our defense. Nothing changes.
Head coach of the Oberlin Phoenix giving us some time, Kenny Washington Jr., first-year head coach with the Oberlin Phoenix. Coach, thanks so much for giving us some time. Good luck tonight. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
You're listening to the Coach's Corner, presented by Buckeye Community Bank. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth. When we come back, it's time to kick off Week 3. It's the Lorain County Sports Network here on YouTube. Lutheran East, First Oberlin.
We are back for the Lorain County Sports Network. Game of the week, Lutheran East leads 8-0 right now over Oberlin. Oberlin with a nice return on the kickoff by Joe Holt. Puts them in some good field position here on their next possession.
And Oberlin so far 7 carries for -5 yards. Hasn't been able to get the run game going. Only 1 pass to Julian Anderson. And that's been it.
As the handoff goes there to Oberlin. And it looks like they're going to lose a yard there. I want to say that was Rosenthal again with the loss. Brings up a long 3rd and 13. As we're in the second quarter right now, and Lutheran East has the early lead. Oberlin with their best field position of the game so far. So they're going to pick up a free 5 yards as Lutheran East a little too anxious there and goes off sides.
And we saw Oberlin this week at practice work on that hard count, try to get the defense to jump offside and work to perfection there. Easy 5 yards for the Oberlin offense. So instead of 3rd and long, it becomes 3rd and manageable.
Yeah, it brings up a 3rd and 8 now. It opens up your playbook, gives you more options that you could use. And like you said, right here maybe is now you're going to have to use a short passing game. Your short passing game is going to be an extension of your running game right now in this type of weather.
Especially with Oberlin's speed. Oberlin has a lot of speed, especially in the slot. You got Jackson, Kylo, and Jack Sean Winham on that left side.
Another one. Another free 5 yards for the Oberlin. Unbelievable.
And that was Kaon Sample Moses, who has been applying the pressure on this defensive line for Lutheran East all game. Got a little too excited, a little jumpy there, and cost him another 5 yards.
And the coaches for Lutheran East are directly next door to us, and they're not very happy, to put it politely.
We all know that penalties will kill you. That's exactly what is happening in Lutheran East's defense right now. We talked about at the top of the hour, Deshaun Washington really high on his defensive line, the outstanding of his team this year.
Anderson is deep at the quarterback position. He's got Rosenthal on his right, 2 receivers to the left and 2 receivers to the right. 3rd and 3 here from their
Falcons 47. Fake handoff. They're going to use Rosenthal as a lead blocker for Anderson, and Anderson puts his head down and picks up some positive yardage.
And I think he's going to be marked just short, but I think if you're Oberlin here, you got to go for it.
Yeah, he needed 3. He picked up 2. And it brings up a very manageable 4th down. And you're in a good field position to where you could go for it here.
And I think if you're Oberlin, you got to go for the quarterback draw here. Have your offensive line push him forward, push him over that first down line, and get a new set of downs. Mason Rosenthal hasn't been able to get it going so far here in the early going.
Correction, that will be 4th and 1.
So a running clock here in the second quarter with 9:20 to go brings up a crucial 4th and 1 here for the Phoenix. Handoff to Rosenthal, puts his head down, spins, and picks. It's going to be close. Yeah, they're moving the sticks up, so give him 1. That's all he needed, and that's all he got.
And Rosenthal initially got stopped, but was able to push forward, push through that line, and dive over the first down line and get the new set of downs.
Yeah, the second effort from Rosenthal was what definitely got him the first down. He was initially stopped behind the line of scrimmage and spun and twisted his way for just that 1 yard that they needed.
Let's see if Oberlin can capitalize off of it.
Pass for the Phoenix is short, incomplete, but it looks like we're going to have a flag on the Falcons, and they might have roughed the passer. Let's see what we got. It came from where the quarterback was.
It was intended
helmet to helmet.
It was intended for Jackson Kylo, and then with the late hit by Deshaun Washington Jr., drew the flag.
So this drive has been extended by penalties, and they've racked up 25 yards in penalties just this drive.
As soon as it went past Kako, Washington decked him right after that, and that's what drew that flag. And that's a big 15-yard penalty for the Falcons defense.
Brings up a new set of downs for the Phoenix. 1st and 10 from their own 20. Handoff to Rosenthal off the right-hand side, and he is going to put his head down and pick up 1 yard. And he's stopped by a few of the Falcons, led by Jonathan Deal, linebacker. Who's the real deal? That's what Coach told me.
I think Rosenthal, if he would have gone out to that right side a little bit more, he would have got a bigger gain, but decided to cut inside.
They're not going to give him a gain of anything, as they're going to say he gets back to the line of scrimmage, according to the board.
And if you're Julian Anderson, you got to keep going to the sideline after every play. It's got to take a toll on him after 4 quarters.
Yeah, so you notice that, why they're not using the receivers to bring in the plays. Rather, they're bringing Julian Anderson to the sidelines after every down, and that could take a wear on your quarterback. Snap back, Anderson looking to throw, has a man, and it's off his fingertips, incomplete, as Jack-Sean Wyndham had room to make the catch, but couldn't haul it in.
Yeah, the throw was a little bit high by Anderson, and with the weather conditions, with the rain, it was just slipped out of Wyndham's hands.
It's 3rd and 10 now with 7 minutes to go.
And maybe it's just me, Dave, but I'm surprised these Oberlin receivers aren't wearing gloves, especially with how rainy it's been. Maybe it's something they're not comfortable with and don't want to try out, but considering the conditions, why not? You see Wyndham. You also see Jackson Kalka on that left side, no gloves.
Snap back, Anderson got pressure and is picked off. middle linebacker has it with room to run. That's Deshaun Washington Jr. as he's going to be tackled at the 30-yard line. So we have an interception there.
And just not a smart throw by Anderson. He saw the pressure coming and just threw it into the middle of the field. If you're Anderson, you just got to take the sack there and hope for a better play on 4th down.
Anderson trying to make something happen, and that one comes back to bite him as it's the second turnover of the game. Falcons have one, and the Phoenix have one as well. Both lost their turnovers. So it's going to set up the Falcons on a short porch here in the second quarter. They're going to start at the 30-yard line.
And both these quarterbacks today, Julian Anderson and Jariah Morgan, haven't thrown the ball that much. Morgan has only thrown it one time, 0 for 1 on that pass, but does have a 21-yard touchdown run.
Your quarterback is Jariah Morgan. Your running back is going to be Elijah Dowdle. We got a delay a game penalty called on the Falcons as, for whatever reason, the clocks on the field, Jared, aren't working. Yeah, the clocks never moved, as one of the coaches was saying the same thing.
And now they're completely out. There's no numbers on the on the play clock. It's like Florida State.
We heard people counting, and we were like, "Who's counting down?"
And it's gonna be at like the old days. It's gonna be by word of mouth and paper. We saw it with Florida State against Boston College in the first quarter of their game, and that's something obviously not a lot of us are used to. But it looks like
so now they took them off completely as they're not working, and I think that may have thrown off the Lutheran East coaching staff. Morgan gives it to Dowdle up the middle off the left-hand side, and he's rode down by an Oberlin defender. Drew Walters was there, as well as Joe Holt to make the tackle. Excuse me, that is Carmelo Williams on the tackle.
And Dowell went to that right side, saw that there was lineman in front of him, cut to the left, able to get a big gain for Lutheran East.
Dowdle picks up 10, brings up a 2nd and 5 now from the 20. As Lutheran East is in the red zone, brought to you by Russell Real Estate Services agent Steve Lawson. You can visit him at superstevesells.com. New running back in, as that's Tymaine Lindsay, and the snap is mishandled by Morgan. It's going to be a loss of a few, bringing up a 3rd down.
And I think that was a mixture of a bad snap and also with the rain, it slipped out of the hands of Morgan, and a big loss for the Falcons. It's still pouring here at Oberlin College. We thought the rain would be done by 8 o'clock,
Nope.
And it continues to fall. We've been fortunate with some amazing weather these last few weeks, and the one day we were playing football, it's got to rain.
So loss of 5 there on the miss snap by Morgan. Brings up a 3rd and 10. And Morgan's going to keep it off the right-hand side. He's got room to run. He's got blockers in front of him. He's going to be pulled down by Carmelo Williams, but not before he gets the first and into goal line position.
And Morgan burst to speed once again. Leading the blocking convoy was Lindsay there. And Lindsay's a big man, especially for a sophomore.
Pickup of 23 there on the run. Brings up a 1st and goal from the 8 for the Lou.
On the tackle.
And your Lutheran East here, you would love to score towards the end of the half. You get the ball to start the second half as well. So you would love to just continue to build off your scoring drives.
Tymaine Lindsay is the running back next to Morgan. He's going to be the lead blocker as Morgan scampers into the end zone for 6. From 8 yards out, quarterback Jariah Morgan scores his 2nd touchdown of the game.
This one for 8 yards, and Morgan just a burst of speed, splits the defense on that left side, and gets in for the score for Lutheran East.
So that makes it 14-0 right now, waiting for the 2-point conversion. We do have a Oberlin player down. That's Carmelo Williams. He's up and walking off on his own power. So it's going to bring the Lutheran East offense back on the field.
And Lutheran East last week didn't go for any extra points against Garfield Heights. Looks like they'll continue to do that here today against Oberlin.
You mentioned it, man. He hasn't thrown the ball besides the one time. They haven't really needed to. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that, as when I talked to Coach Deshaun Washington, he was really impressed with his three-headed running back, and we've seen 2 of them so far. We haven't seen the third.
Well, I think they got a 4th in Morgan for sure.
Here we go for the 2-point conversion. Lutheran East leads 14-0. Morgan gets the snap, and the hand is to Lindsey, and he's going to be stopped for a no gain, and that's going to end their 2-point conversion attempt. So that keeps the score 14-0 in favor of Lutheran East. With 4:43 to go here in the second quarter, you're watching Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. So all right, we're back and ready for this kickoff as Deshaun Washington Jr. is the kick man, and it's received by Drew Walters at the 40 of Oberlin. That's where they'll start this next possession. And capping off that scoring drive for Lutheran East, it was a 5-play scoring drive, covered 70 yards, capped off by an 8-yard touchdown run by Jariah Morgan, his second touchdown of the game, making it 14-0.
And we'll see what Oberlin's offense can do here before the half. Rosenthal hasn't been able to really get anything going. Has 7 carries for -3 yards. And Anderson just 1 for 3 in the air with an interception.
And besides that first possession for Lutheran East where they turned it over on downs, they've scored.
Yeah, they've done really well in the run game, especially with Morgan. 2 touchdown runs already to his name. And they've held up well defensively with an interception.
Anderson's your quarterback, throws it for Walter and hung him out to dry. Luckily, Walters did not get crushed on that incompletion there, as the ball was way over his head and made him reach out for it.
Yeah, Walters was wide open on that right side in that out route, and Anderson just overthrew it way too high, and an incompletion for the Phoenix.
And when I talked to Coach Kenny Washington Jr. in the pregame, I said, hey, man, is this rain going to stop you guys from throwing the ball? Nah. And he wasn't lying, as he said they're going to do what they do. And Oberlin is a throw-the-ball team. They're not built to run the ball. Although they have a pretty big left side of the offensive line, the right-handed side is not so big. It's their quick side. They have a strong and a quick. Anderson, that's going to be intentional grounding, as I didn't think he got out of the tackle box. He just went back and threw the ball.
And you talked about that right side, Dave. Christian Grice applied that pressure on that right side of the defensive end for Lutheran East, and now brings up 3rd and long for Oberlin.
That was kind of a head-scratcher there, as Anderson just dropped back and let it go right out of bounds with nobody even around. And no call is made, so it brings up a 3rd and 10 from Oberlin's 40. And the clock continues to stop at 4:30 here in the second quarter. Don't go anywhere. We got our Health Markets halftime show coming up, brought to you by Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance. Anderson is sacked on the snap, as getting to him was Raymond Austin from his linebacker position. And it's going to bring up a loss on the play.
Big hit by the 6-foot senior in Austin on that play. Second sack of the game for Lutheran East.
Yep, it's going to be a loss of 10 on the sack. It's going to bring up Rosenthal to come and punt for Oberlin. Your guys deep for Lutheran East, Matthew Valentine and Keon Johnson. Rosenthal, I think that punt got a piece of it, and Lutheran East is also going to get flagged for roughing the kicker as Rosenthal is down, grimacing.
Yeah, tipping that was Christian Grice, but he also ran into Rosenthal, and that's going to be a fresh set of downs for Oberlin.
And they're picking the flag up, so no roughing the passer.
By Mason Rosenthal, referee timeout.
And we have a timeout on the field as we have a injured Oberlin Phoenix. That's Mason Rosenthal down. We'll take a quick break. You're watching and listening to Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. Good news for the Phoenix as Mason Rosenthal is up and on the bench being looked at now by the trainer. A little gimpy.
And they can't afford to lose anyone.
No.
Oberlin has 22 men on their roster.
And now we have a timeout being called by Lutheran East with 3:40 to go before the half. We'll take it as well. Be right back here on YouTube. After the timeout from Lutheran East, they are ready to get this drive going from their own 48-yard line, leading 14-0. But I think they want to score again, Jared. As you mentioned, they'll be getting the ball to start the third quarter.
Yeah, they want to get the score before the end of the half because they'll get the ball to start the second half.
Matthew Valentine on the end around. No one's going to touch him. He's going to roll into the end zone. They're going to say he's down at the 1-yard line. Oberlin got a hand on him right before he crossed the goal line and saved a touchdown there. 52-yard run there from Valentine. Or excuse me, 51-yard run. And Lutheran East is just going to do it on the ground, and they're going to do it from different ways. As that was an end around right there from Valentine in his wide receiver position.
And that's all they really need to do, especially with the rain. It's tough to throw to begin with, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
First and goal from the 1 as Lutheran East is in the red zone, the Russell Real Estate red zone services. Handoff up the middle goes to Lindsay, and it's in for the touchdown as Ty Main Lindsay punches it in from 1 yard out. Makes it 20-0 with 3:22 to go here in the second quarter. Getting ready for our 2-point conversion attempt.
Lindsay now with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion on the night. Looks like he's going to try to get another one.
They have a new running back there. That's Isaiah Hampton in for the 2-point conversion. Hampton's going to get it, and he's successful. Makes it 22-0 here in this second quarter of play.
2-point conversion run in by Falcons, Isaiah.
22-0 is the score with 3:22 to go. Teams are getting ready to kick things off here from Oberlin College. Beautiful facilities here at the Knowlton Athletic Complex. And I'm excited. I'll be here next week as Oberlin College will be having their home opener against Anderson. Some scores from around Lorain County as Fairview right now beating Brookside 22-0 at the half. Amherst Comets lead North Olmsted 12-7 in the third quarter. Vermilion continues their hot streak, Jared. 27-6 over Willard right now. We got a good one going on YouTube as well. It's Glenville leading Avon 12-10. Akron East on top of the Elyria Pioneers right now at the half, 12-7. Midview blanking EC 20-0 at the half. Columbia leads Northwestern 21-13. As we have the kickoff received by Oberlin, and that's Jack Sean Wyndham. Just barely gets it out from his end zone. They're going to start things backed up.
And Oberlin has been struggling on special teams, especially with the kickoff to corral and return it. Gone out of the hands a few times now.
Chardon leads Avon Lake 21-7. Columbia leads the Huskies 21-13. Titans up over Sandusky 8-0. Those are your scores from around the area. Keystone up 27-0 over Crestview. McDonald has an early 7-0 lead over Clearview. North Ridgeville and North Royalton are scoreless. Firelands and Poland Seminary also scoreless. And those are your scores from around Lorain County. Jared, I should have just had you read them.
That's okay. I thought you would enjoy it more than me.
1st and 10 from the 10-yard line for the Phoenix. As we are getting things going, it's coming down pretty good here with the rain. And Oberlin's backed up in their own territory. Pitch pass to Joe Holt, and he is smothered by a swarm of Falcons as they were all over that, led by Raylan Wicks. It's going to be a loss of 5.
Oberlin tried that jet sweep on the left side, and nothing they could do there. Again, applying the pressure was Christian Grice. Christian Grice and Kayon Sample Moses, the leaders on this defensive line for Lutheran East, applying most of the pressure here today against this Oberlin offense.
Second and 15 from the 5-yard line. Oberlin's got to be careful here as there's no room for error. Handoff up the middle. And trying to get a number on who that carrier was. That's Joe Holt, who has replaced Mason Rosenthal in the backfield. So Joe Holt is now your main ball carrier for Oberlin.
And I think Oberlin is just trying to survive here, pin back in their own end zone, trying to get this one to the half.
That's a 2-yard gain there by Joe Holt. But, yeah, like you said, right now Oberlin is just trying to bandage up the holes. As we talked in the pregame, the numbers for Oberlin is what has been the Achilles heel. They only have 22 varsity players, ladies and gentlemen. And if you lose people, I mean, the kids are already going 2 ways. So now with Mason Rosenthal out, that hurts them a little bit. Handoff to Joe Holt up the right-hand side. He's going to be stopped after a short gain by Alante Flanagan. So pickup of a few there.
And now with Mason Rosenthal injured on the sideline, who do you favor to punt here now? Unless Oberlin's going to go for it.
Drew Walters is back to punt for Oberlin. And back to receive is going to be Matthew Valentine and Keon Johnson for the Falcons. Walters' punt is up. It's going to be fielded by the Falcons with room to run. And this is a punt return for a touchdown, as that was Keon Johnson.
believe that was a 35-yard return.
We'll go with it. So now this one's getting out of hand. 28-0 right now. And we'll remind you that running clock will probably be in effect in the second half, as once there's a 34-point lead is when the running clock will happen. And Coach Washington wants to have a talk with his team after that lapse on special teams gives up another score. So we'll take the break as well. You're listening and watching the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. Timeout called by the Oberlin Phoenix. And we remind you all our timeouts are brought to you by Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran, securing and organizing real estate documents. Jared, you made a good point during the break. What was Coach Washington talking to his kids about?
We're talking about getting wake up a bit, get your head in the game, and got to take this one in the locker room with a new mindset.
Pride. You're playing for pride right now, as it's your first home game in front of your fans, and you're losing right now, 28-0, and the Falcons just punch in the extra 2-point conversion as well to make it 30-0. But it's about a pride thing. That's what Coach Kenny Washington Jr. is saying. He said, "Listen, the tape doesn't lie, and I'm going to watch this after this game tonight, Jared. And if I see that you guys gave up out there, you're going to have hell to pay on Monday." Although to Coach Kenny Washington's credit, when we visit him during practice, a very mild-mannered, even-keeled young head coach who said he doesn't really yell. He doesn't like to yell, he said, right?
Yeah, he doesn't like to yell. He wants to be a leader to these kids and his team.
Selena Lopez. Arabella Ortiz.
So we got 30 seconds left in the first half. We remind you to stick around because we got the Health Markets halftime show coming up, brought to you by Jeff Allison. He's a local insurance agent, and enrollment season is beginning. So if you're uninsured, enroll today with Health Markets insurance agent Jeff Allison in Amherst. We're about set for the kickoff here. Kickoffs are brought to you by Lorain County Community College, kicking off your future with LCCC. Squid kick is fielded by Jackson Sacalo of Oberlin. They're going to have the ball at about the 35 of their own 35 to start things off.
Number 4, Corey Fever.
And we'll see if Oberlin runs a play here or just knee it to halftime.
I don't know. If I know Coach Kenny, I don't think he's going to be kneeling it. Coach Washington said he gets a lot of leadership and some knowledge from other coaches around Lorain County, with him being a young guy, and this is his first time as the head coach. So he talks to a lot of coaches from around Lorain County and picks their brain and tries to put his own thoughts together. And they are going to kneel it, so you were right there, partner. So Oberlin is going to be content with just kneeling the ball. And that should end this first half of play. With the score 30-0 in favor of Lutheran East. There's 10 seconds on the clock. They're all going to run down as they didn't start it on time. So I'm pretty sure that they're dead, and they are. As zeros hit the scoreboard, referee has the ball in his hand. That's it. First half is in the books. It's 30-0 in favor of Lutheran East. Don't go anywhere. We'll bring you back for our Health Markets halftime show sponsored by Jeff Allison in Amherst. And we'll break down this game and get you ready for the second half here on Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Health Markets Halftime Show here on YouTube, brought to you by Jeff Allison. If you're uninsured, why don't you get insured? Enroll today with Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. And we're in the halftime right now and going to go over some numbers courtesy of our good friend Al Januzzi CPA. We had a hot dog at halftime courtesy of our good friend Brian Victor of Howard Hanna. Brian says enjoy the game. Hot dog was good, not bad. I give it a solid 5.
Yeah, I didn't think it was as good as Keystone's, but I'll give it a solid 6.
So right now, Keystone in the lead for the dog contest. We were at Columbia last week. We got a burger from them, which was good as well. And
we'll be able to rate both.
Yeah.
Because we'll have Columbia next week against Firelands.
So any numbers that stick out to you, partner?
Definitely the Lutheran East running game. They had 16 carries for 168 yards, highlighted by a 21-yard touchdown run and an 8-yard touchdown run by Elijah Morgan. Also by Tyamine Lindsay with a 1-yard touchdown run, and then a punt return for a touchdown by Keon Johnson. And it's all Falcons after the first half.
Yeah, 30-0 as they get ready to receive this opening kickoff from the third quarter. This kickoff is brought to you by Lorain County Community College. Kick off your future with LCCC. Rain continuing to come down as referees try to bring out a dry ball. Drew Walters is going to be kicking it off as he gets his guys ready. Back deep is going to be Matthew Valentine, as well as number 24, Elijah Dowdle. And Dowdle's going to return the kickoff from his 25, makes some men miss, gets up to the 40, and the Falcons will have good field position to start the third quarter.
And Dowell has had a good first half, 4 carries for 24 yards. Along with Morgan, he has 4 carries for 57 yards, along with those 2 touchdowns. Lindsey, 4 carries for 34 yards. So the trifecta running game of the Lutheran East Falcons, getting it done in the first half. We'll see if they'll be able to continue that here in the second half.
So running clock is in effect already here in this third quarter at 30. I wonder if Coach Washington wanted that, as we're already at 7 minutes in this third quarter. It's going to fly by here in the second half.
Time flies when you're having fun.
That's it, man.
And rain's still coming down. It's expected to stay till 10 o'clock here tonight around Lorain County. It's been a wet Friday, Dave.
Yeah, we're playing with the crowd mic. You can hear the rain coming down.
It looks like it's coming down harder than it did at game time.
At least it's not sideways. It's just straight down now. There's a good one going on. Avon is beating Glenville right now 13-12. And that's on our other stream on YouTube. As handoff up the middle goes to a new ball carrier. That's Isaiah Hampton. And Hampton picks up 5 on the first down.
Hampton had that 2-point conversion towards the end of the first half. Gets his first official carry of the game. Hampton, a junior, 5'9".
Clock continuing to run. We're at 5:40 now in the third quarter. Double handoff there, and it goes to Jarrell Melton, who's going to pick up some positive yardage on the end around as Jariah Morgan did the handoff.
tackle.
So, nice pickup there. Brings up a 3rd and 2 for the Falcons.
Falcons got a lot of mixtures of upperclassmen and lowerclassmen here this evening. Melton, a senior as well, 6'2".
Morgan gets the handoff, and the snap is given. I didn't get a number on him.
I believe that was.
Tackle for Oberlin.
I
believe that was number 12, Deonnie Wells.
Deonnie Wells. We've got another Oberlin Phoenix down, as that's Drew Walters. But he's going to shake it off and get back up. Does it look like he's dealing with a ankle issue, maybe just a roll or something? So picks up the first down on the run.
4-yard gain for Wells.
Four minutes and counting in this third quarter. Falcons in no hurry with this big 30-point lead. Jariah Morgan is your quarterback. And this is going to be a handoff to the receiver. And that is Devontae Miller, who has some room to run around the right-hand side. One man to beat. And shoestring tackle there made by Corey Freeman. After a huge pickup there.
Big run for Miller. Went to that left side, then cut all the way to the other side of the field. Burst to speed side and gets into the red zone for the Falcons. But it looks like it's coming back.
Yeah, I didn't even see a flag thrown.
I did not either. Must have been holding. I mean, that's the most common thing you see. Lutheran East's coach here in the press box with us is putting up his arm saying, I didn't see a flag either.
He's calling for holding against the Falcons, so that's going to bring back that long gain there.
And not sure who committed that holding. You got to think on the left side before he went over to the across the field on the right side. So a big gain taken away for the first run of Devontae Miller.
That was his first carry of the game, and he put on some afterburners. The sophomore getting some playing time now as this game is out of reach. We're at 2 minutes to go in the third on the running clock. It's pouring here at Oberlin College. There are still a few faithful left in the stands. Man in motion is Miller. They're going to do the same play again. And this time he's brought down by Julian Anderson.
Good job by Miller there to corral it, keep it safe in the pocket. Almost fumbled it there. Was able to keep the football nice and tight, get a short gain.
Loss of 2 on the run there by Miller. Brings up a 2nd and 18 situation as we're already under 2 minutes to go in this third quarter. I would imagine a few more snaps, and this one will be ending the third quarter of play. We apologize for the technical difficulties as it's raining pretty good out here, and we've had some computer issues to say the least. Handoff up the middle. Nice hole by a player I don't have. Jump cut back, and it was a nice run there by number 9. That's as much as I can give them.
Yeah, unfortunately, Deshaun Washington did not give us the full roster with full numbers. So number 9 just has to be a mystery. I mean, I said before game time, Dave, it might be Steph Hall Jr.
Yeah.
Ball handler run out of bounds by Carmelo Williams.
Okay, so it was Hall. So you were right. What's his name?
Steph Hall Jr.
Steph Hall Jr. Yeah. Oh, Raymar Raylan. Okay. So the JV coaches are next to us, so they're kind of filling us in and on the kids that are playing right now. Handoff up the middle for Lutheran East. Fumble. Ball's on the ground. Oberlin looks like they have it, and they do. It's going to be recovered by Tommy Boyer, as losing it was Isaiah Hampton for the Falcons.
Flag on the play.
Well, the flag's on the play. Let's see what we got. They're going to pick the flag up. So it'll be Oberlin ball as we get ready to start the fourth quarter. That's it. It's 30-0 in favor of Lutheran East. 12 more minutes to go right here on YouTube, Lorain County Sports Network. All right, we are back as we're getting ready to start the fourth quarter of play. It's 30-0 in favor of Lutheran East. They're going to move on to 3-0, and next week's opponent, they're going to be on the road again as they'll be taking on Akron Garfield, one of the Akron City School District teams. And for Oberlin, well, they're going to start conference play next week.
They'll head to Brookside. Brookside, last
Getting
time we
thumped
looked,
right now.
yeah, getting thumped by Fairview, 28-0. So that should be a good test to see where Oberlin is in the LCA conference. They're going to have tough opponents in Clearview and Columbia to follow here at home at Oberlin College the following weeks. So the next 3 weeks is really going to determine where they're at in the conference.
That's right. The conference play begins. That's when you separate the pretenders from the contenders. As right now, LC8's wide open, man.
Yeah, LC8 is quite a mystery. Southwest Conference, we kind of have an idea who's going to win that one.
Oof, Anderson gets the ball to start this fourth quarter, and he's immediately sacked for a loss on the play. As time is flying by, we're under 6 minutes to go already now. I got a feeling that they've been skipping numbers or something over there on the clock, because it's moving real fast. So Lutheran East emptying the benches right now as they're having some guys come in and play for the first time. And Rick Smith Jr. getting a chance to get in right now as his teammates were hyping him up. 30-0 in favor of the Lou. Oberlin pinned deep in their own territory. It's a 3rd and 20 from the 10.
Kenny Washington takes his first time out of the half.
And our timeouts are brought to you by our good friend Mike Duran, the Lorain County Recorder, securing and organizing real estate documents. As we'll take a quick timeout with them as well. We'll be back to wrap up the last 5:42 here on YouTube. After the timeout by Coach Kenny Washington, he wanted to make sure ball security is of importance right here, Jared.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially deep in your own territory, 3rd down.
Oberlin has been pinned back in their own end zone a few times here today.
They're going to get a free 5 yards as the Falcons jump off sides.
3rd false start penalty for the Falcons today.
Yeah. I guess if you had to pick one thing that was bad about Lutheran East today, it was penalties.
Yeah, they had a lot of costly penalties.
That was it.
Obviously, we haven't seen them play in their first 2 games of the season, but that's something that they'll have to work on next week.
Penalties, they had 1 turnover. Actually 2. You had 1 turnover on downs, 1 fumble that they lost. But besides that, Lutheran East has pretty much played a flawless game. A couple penalties here or there. They haven't thrown the ball very much. They haven't needed to, as it's been all running game all day here for the Falcons.
That penalty did nothing for Oberlin because they just committed a false start.
Oh, they just gave it right back. We're exchanging penalties right now. Late in this fourth quarter, under 5 minutes to go.
And you got to wonder for Lutheran East, they're going to have to work a lot on the passing game this week in practice because Morgan only threw the ball one time.
And now we got a safety, it looks like, on the play. We're waiting to get a signal as Julian Anderson was sacked in the end zone. And they're going to say he got out of the end zone. It's not going to be a safety. It looks like he's at the 1 yard line.
He has to be.
At the 1 yard line, right before the safety, as Julian Anderson's been getting beat up back there today. Great kid. We've seen him in practice. A leader out there. I enjoyed watching the quarterback finish first in sprints with the position players. That's always a good sign. Shows you that he's a leader and he's willing to lead by example. As now Drew Walter is back to punt deep in his end zone for this 4th and 29 play. Almost goes out of the end zone, but Walter corrals it. It's going to be fielded at the 30, and it's taken by Keon Johnson. Johnson already has a punt return for a touchdown today, and this time he's going to be knocked out at the 20 for a return of 10 yards. We do have a flag on the play. I'm not quite sure why the clock stopped either. Because even if you go out of bounds in a running clock, it still continues to tick.
It looks like it was an
Offsetting penalties?
offsetting penalties.
As you had an infraction committed by each team. And it's going to set up the Falcons and what looks like a lot of JVers.
Personal foul.
So 1st and 10 for the Falcons from their 30-yard line. It looks like they're going to give it to him at. There we got the clock wound back up as everybody's kind of asking, why is the clock stopped? It hasn't stopped the whole second quarter or whole second half, and all of a sudden they stopped it there. So Morgan is still your quarterback for the Falcons. Dariah having a great game today. And now we got another timeout called by Oberlin. And Coach Kenny Washington wants to talk it over with the defense. We'll be right back here on YouTube. We just got a scoring update, and it's going to make some people in the LC8 pretty happy. Clearview leading McDonald right now in a battle of unbeatens, 12-7. It's an interesting game there, Jared.
Old McDonald had a farm in Youngstown.
It is being covered by ysnlive.com. I know a lot of people reached out and said, how can they watch the Clippers tonight, as Morgan is going to take the handoff. It's miscommunication with some different players back there, and he loses a few yards on the run.
Julian Anderson Gaines with the sack.
Tackle by Anderson Gaines for Oberlin. Brings up a 2nd and 12 with 3 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. It's 30-0 in favor of Lutheran East. Don't go anywhere. Our I-90 Nissan post-game show is going to be coming up here next. We'll go through some quick numbers before we send you on your way and prepare you for Week 4. We'll tell you where we're at, as it's going to be LC8 conference play between the Firelands Falcons and the Columbia Raiders. Another missed handoff there by Denzel Richmond. He keeps it himself and is just going to put his head down and pick up a few yardage.
Richmond's second carry of the game.
Denzel Richmond on the carry, brought down by a tackle of
Brings up a 3rd and 3 from the 25 for the Falcons with 2 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. So we'll get our first taste of Firelands next week, as we'll get to see them. And we've already seen Columbia, as we covered them last week in week 2, with a shocking upset loss to Fairview by 1 score, as Columbia tried to rally late but just fell short. And handoff goes to McCall Bailey for the Falcons. Now we got some pushing and shoving, and we got a flag. Just don't stop the clock. And they stopped it.
Tackle made by number 10, Drew Walter.
Drew Walter gets credit for the tackle, but there was some scuffling. It's on each team, so it's going to offset with a minute 20 to go now and counting. We'll give out our Zabo Player of the Game award. We got to think about our collision of the game, partner. We really didn't see too many big hits per se.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll definitely give you our drive of the game. We'll give you a big play of the game as well. So we got some awards to give out in our post-game show before we send you back to the Achieve Credit Union Sports Studios at the Radio Ranch. You can tune in to our I-90 Nissan post-game show immediately following every game. Starts usually about 9:30, just depending on the games. They do a great job. It's on the radio. It's on Facebook. Dave Krasinski, Paul Williams, Maria Janasco. Going to bring you the updates, as this one is going to be in the books, as the clock is at 20 seconds, and that's all they're going to give them, as Lutheran East is going to win by a score of 30-10. We're going to take a quick break. We'll get you all of the post-game awards, and then we'll wrap things up. You're watching the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. All right. Welcome back into the I-90 Nissan post-game show, because the deals are so good, as Lutheran East victorious tonight by a score of 30-0. We got some awards to give out, as our Zabo player of the game is going to go to Jariah Morgan from Lutheran East. He is the backup quarterback who's been called into duty after week 1. Had a great game here tonight with 2 touchdowns. And he's going to be our Zabo Apparel player of the game. Our drive of the game is also going to be a 4-play drive, capped off by an 8-yard touchdown run by Jariah Morgan. And we picked that drive because Lutheran East had a few penalties on that drive, but we're still able to cap things off and get into the end zone, as they had some big runs by Jariah Morgan, and he gets in from 8 yards out. Also chipping in on that drive was Elijah Dowdle. So that's going to be our drive of the game. Our big play of the game is going to go on special teams, as we had a 35-yard punt return for a touchdown by Keon Johnson. He's going to get our big play of the game. And then our collision of the game is going to go to Lutheran East team as a whole, as they just came out and punched Oberlin all night long. So we're going to give them the collision of the game. And that pretty much wraps up all of our post-game awards that we need to hand out. We remind you that we'll be back next Friday night. LC8 kicks off. Firelands at Columbia. Coverage starts at 6:30. Lutheran East moves on to 3-0, and Oberlin moves to 0-3. For my partner here, Jared Vinecourt, I'm Dave Rivera. I want to say thank you to our production crew here as well. Chopinski, Mr. David, and of course Duke, also named David. We have a lot of Davids here. Good night from Oberlin College. We'll see you next Friday.